In today's video, I am going to talk about the 10 things you should avoid as a wedding photographer. These 10 things might get you into big trouble. Avoid them at all costs. Let's get started. Rock and roll. Hello guys, so this list is not in any order of importance whatsoever, but we'll get started. So number 1, as a photographer at a wedding, trying to find a super exotic location for a dress. You want that detailed shot of the dress, or how about you finding a nice location for the ring, the macro ring shots, but you're not looking around you to see if, something might happen with the rings. A lot of times I see these videographers, they grab the dress, heavy as it might be, they want to hang it up outside somewhere, an exotic location, maybe at a, you see it, you're shooting a wedding at a farm, a barn, they want to, hang it up, and then there's dirt on the floor and this and that. I see this happen with videographers all the time where it might be an exciting clip for them, but you got to think about the risks here. What if that dress falls and hits the floor, dirt all over the place? They want to take the dress out and take a static alone shot with the dress details. Me, I wouldn't take that chance. I would avoid that at all costs. It can get you into trouble. It hits the floor. You get the dress dirty. Quick little story, guys, about the rings. One time a videographer was spinning the ring on the counter, trying to get that close-up macro shot with some action. And he's doing it really close to, guess what? The sink. Yes, big mistake, guys. Sure enough, the ring rolls right into the sink, and falls right in there. And they had a really hard time. He got into big time trouble. They had to go under the sink, loosen the pipe and get that ring out of there. Also, you want to avoid scratching the jewelry. You never know what happens. If it's a cheaper ring, the stones might fall off. You don't know what happens, and you want to avoid that at all costs, guys. With me, I don't want to touch the dress. I asked the bride, then it's being professional. I asked the bride, hey, listen, where do you want the dress to be? Is it okay if you move it? If you give the bride the opportunity to, first of all, decide on what she wants to do. Second, let her move it. Because if something happens with her trying to set up the dress outside somewhere, it's on her, right, guys? But never be the one to give her that idea, because they might blame you, guys. So let the videographer do his thing. If he wants to be a daredevil and take the dress out and shoot it, stand alone, you shoot your shots too. But never be the one that does that, because you'll get blamed for it. You don't want that. At the end of the day, you want them to be happy. And, things happen, it gets dirty. So, avoid that at all costs, guys. Avoid that at all costs. Like with me, I want the bride to hold the dress. It doesn't, for me, detail shots of the dress alone, it's a cool shot, but it's nothing I'll ever use. I'd rather have the bride hold the dress, look at the dress, do some action shots with the dress versus just you taking a picture just with the dress. So avoid these exotic locations that might get you into trouble. Before we move on, if this is your first time on this channel, Vahagraphy, this is a photography channel where we talk all things photography, tutorials, the business side of photography, camera and lens reviews. We have a lot of fun here. So go ahead and give me a subscribe, hit the like button, it helps with the YouTube algorithms, and let's rock and roll. Number 2, doing favors for the bride just for you to look good. You might think it's a good idea to do this. Examples of this, you might have a reception canvas that they did not pick up, and the bride asks you, take it to the reception hall, bring it with you. We'll take it from you at the day of the wedding. You want to avoid favors, going out of the way. Maybe she asks you bring some coffee when you're, going to the wedding, bridal suite. She, texts you, hey, can you bring some coffee, or, visit the drive-through. You want to avoid anything that's normally out of your routine. that you're used to doing on a wedding day. So yeah, just say, hey, you know what? If it's okay, come pick up the canvas, take it to the reception, the couple of days before. You want to avoid any type of different routine that you're used to, because, you might get into trouble. Something might happen in the drive-through, or anything could happen. So try to avoid these little favors last minute for the bride or the groom. And one time I did a huge favor, and I thought I was doing a favor. They didn't pick up the canvas for the reception hall. It was really big, and it hardly fit in my SUV. And guess what happens? I stuff it in there. I'm running late. I didn't want to be late, so I just kind of stuff it into the back seat, close the door on the canvas, and sure enough, it kind of, damaged the canvas, and I was blamed for it, and she didn't really like it. And so it got me into trouble. So avoid these little favors at all costs. Number 3, avoid taking any guests, any bridal party, parents, whatnot, for a ride with you in your car. What I mean by that is, Mr. Photographer, groom asks you to do or bride asks you to do your favor. Do you have any room in your car? And me being an honest guy, sure, yeah, come on in. I'll take them, no problem. Learn a big lesson here, guys. Being a nice guy, trying to do a favor. The mom and dad sit in my car, and from one location to the other, we were going to the ceremony, and we had an issue with the father, having to go to the bathroom a few times on the way there. And he was just panicking and nervous. I don't know what the deal was. So it caused me to be late to the ceremony. Thankfully, I called the groom and the bride saying, hey, we're having an issue with your father. We had to make a couple of pit stops. But avoid that at all costs, guys. I understand you want to be, you want to do a favor and stuff, but you never want to do that. You always want to, be free and clear of that headache. Same thing with bridal party. You just never know. They're drunk. They might spill stuff in your car. And also, if you're a photographer and you see this hot bridesmaid or whatnot, and you want to impress her, and they ask you to, give her a ride. As tempting as that might sound to you single photographers out there, avoid that at all costs, guys. You don't want a headache, Don't take anybody from location to location. And the last thing I told you about, for example, taking a hot bridesmaid because you think she's hot, you think she's cute, whatnot. You want to impress her with your ride and talk to her, kind of see if you want to date her and stuff. This piggybacks to number 4. So number 4, always control yourself at a wedding as a photographer. You know what I mean? You have you see somebody, they might be attractive, a bridesmaid, a guest at a wedding, they're all dressed up, hair, nice dress. She might be really good looking with a nice body, and you're really attracted to her. Avoid these type of temptations. I know it's hard sometimes, some of us photographers, but avoid this. This might lead you to a big time trouble. One time I know a videographer, he flirts with everybody that sees walking by. I mean, the guy is just crazy, and I ever told him sometimes that, you know what, you got to stop doing that, because that might lead you into trouble one day. Sure enough, it did. He got into a fight with the bridesmaid's boyfriend, saying, hey, why are you dancing with her? He was really putting her hands on and she was kind of flirtatious too. So number 4, avoid flirting with the guest or the bridal party at all times as a photographer. This might land you into hot water. I know it's hard. Same thing with, female photographers. You see a hot guy, you think, you want to flirt, I know you types too. So it's not only the guys, the girls too. You see somebody you want to, kind of flirt with and have fun and see where it goes. My friend, the videographer guy that I told you about, got into a fight with the usher, the boyfriend of the bridesmaid. He decked them, big fight, and all of a sudden he was to blame for the wedding collapsing at the reception. And you don't want to be the reason why the wedding dies. Number 5, stopping somewhere for a break or a coffee. Okay, sometimes you're taking pictures 4 or 5 hours, you're heading from location to location, and you might think you have enough time to get a coffee real quick. This might backfire because there's been times where I thought I had 30-minute gap. We went to Starbucks or whatnot. The line was long and you're already in the line 10, 15 minutes. And, you don't want to back out then. You want your coffee, you want your break or soda, whatnot. And we ended up being late to our next location. So avoid that at all times. That's number 5. Avoid stopping for a little break. Always take something with you in the car while you're driving. Maybe one of those to-go coffees, those cold coffees or whatever. Whatever it is, an apple, a banana, avoid that. If you have an hour gap and you're going to make it, and if it's convenient, go for it. But sometimes we cut those things, really short, and it could lead to you being late and you being blamed for not capturing the moments. Number 6, holding a piece of gear for another videographer or a vendor. How many times you as a videographer comes by and says, hey, hold this for me real quick. I got to go make an adjustment. And you're holding his, gimbal and with this hand, and you're holding your camera with this hand, or vice versa, whatever. And you're missing shots. Avoid that at all costs. It might lead you to missing the pictures that you really want to capture. And it's a very simple thing to avoid. And just don't do that at critical moments. I understand if there's a break and you know that nothing's going to happen, fine, assist people hold their gear. Another thing to avoid on this topic is I've seen things happen where, a videographer tells a photographer, hey, help me out, hold the light, hold the gimbal. And I guess the camera wasn't attached to the gimbal good enough, and the camera fell and breaks. So you don't want to, they're going to blame each other. Why are you telling me to hold something? Or it's your fault. You banged it against this. It stops working. All of a sudden, the photographer is to blame for something that can be avoided altogether. So, yeah, I would avoid that. Number 7, drinking on the job or eating something you're not familiar with. Okay, so me, I don't drink on the job. I'm the kind of guy where, like I said, I need to have a few shots to start feeling good. The whole point in drinking is to lift your spirit and to, get a little buzz going, right, guys? So I try to avoid drinking at all costs during a wedding. And also when you're at a wedding where, different cultures have different foods, and you might not be used to eating certain types of foods. And one time I was at a wedding and they had, some food that I never tried. What happened was I got food poisoning, and it just was total, hell for a couple of days after that. So number 1, I couldn't, go. I was feeling sick at the reception, and it was total craziness. So avoid eating foods that you're not too, aware of, or you're not too used to. Your system might not be used to these type of foods. What I do is when the food comes, and I like to examine what I'm eating the day of the event. You never know, take a look at it and avoid that. Drinking as well, like I said, avoid drinking. That might lead you to some trouble at the wedding or after the wedding. And you never know, guys. You just never know. Number 8, avoid over-promising at a wedding. Now, this can be easily done by you trying to look good with your clients, either before the wedding or the day of the wedding. For example, the bride says, can we go there? Are we going to get a chance to do this? Are we going to get a chance to do that? And you as a photographer, what do you say? Bride, don't worry about it. We're going to do it. You can count on me. I got this. I've been doing this for a long time. I've shot here many times. I know best locations. Don't worry. Never overpromise at a wedding. That can turn around and bite you. And the bride might turn around and say, hey, I thought, you said we're going to do this. And I find it funny that clients always remember things that you kind of promise, and that really doesn't happen, but they seem to forget all the stuff that happened that you went out of your way for. So avoid over promising at a wedding. That will get you into a lot of trouble. So don't do it, guys. Don't do it. Under promise, over deliver at all times. Number 9, being too pushy or bossy with your clients, especially the bride. Now, I understand you want to get your shots. I understand some photographers set up, they want to get the perfect light. And some clients, they just don't want to be directed. They don't want to cooperate that much. They just say, their style is capture the moments, let them be, let them party, let them socialize. They're just not into, all that, demanding photographer, this, that, posing. Sure, get a few pose shots and say, Miss Jones, the bride, is it okay if, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, let's do a few pose shots. And if she says, be nice about it. If she says, no, I'm not really into it, you just capture the moments. Are you sure, Miss Jones? Are you sure you want that? Yeah, I'm sure. No. Don't be too bossy, guys, and don't be too demanding. That might turn everything off. They might blame you for not having a good time. It's their wedding, guys. It's not your day to call a lot of the shots. Sometimes you're just there capturing the moments. That's all you want to do. Of course, I'd say before the wedding, go over it with your clients and see, hey, do you want this? Do you want that? So you're on the same page, guys. Avoid being really bossy and yelling at the bridesmaids, this and that. That doesn't look good on your end, No matter what, if you have a bridal party that's not cooperating, you never want to yell at them. You never want to, just seem like an ass at the wedding, because they're not going to remember the bridal party not cooperating. They're going to remember you being mean and bossy. And they're going to say, whoa, hey, calm down, man. They take offense to it, some couples. And it's funny because some couples say, do what you got to do. They know their bridal party is rowdy, drinking, partying. And the groom goes, you know what? Yell at them if you have to. Go ahead. If that's the case, then you have the green light to do all that. But if this couple is a little bit oversensitive, and they think that you're being a little rude at times, and it's in your nature to direct, to touch the subject, this and that. Watch out for that. That can lead you in hot water, and you don't want that, guys. Just be the best, use your best judgment at that time. And finally, number 10. Never have the urge to stop a fight or start one. Okay, guys? And here is why. I know some of you guys, you want to do a good deed of the day. You want to get in between everybody and just stop the fight and whatnot. If this fight has nothing to do with you, I suggest just don't get involved, guys. And here's why. A couple of reasons why. People are going to start recording with their iPhones or cell phones. What happens? Somebody punches you while you're stopping a fight. What are you going to do? You're just going to stand there, let him hit you in the face? No, you're going to punch back, right? All of a sudden, you're on tape starting a fight. You're not starting a fight, but you're on tape, and everyone's going to look at that, and they're going to start blaming you. It was the photographer that, got in the fight, and you don't want to get involved, guys. Trust me. You hit somebody, you hurt somebody, and you get hurt. So it's not worth it, guys. This day and age, people, they not only fight with their fists, they bring weapons, and it's just not worth it. Just if you don't have anything to do with the fight, don't be a hero. Don't get between things. I had some second shooters in the past, and me in the past too, where, I knew a guy that his antennas were up. Right? The guy was an ex-cop, and he's doing photography. And anytime something like that happened, he had he'd always get in between everybody, and he was ready. He had his antennas up, and he was just there in the middle of things. He's always in the middle of conflicts, no matter what, always in the middle of fights. You'd see the guy, oh man, here he goes again, trying to stop the fight. It's just that kind of attention you don't want. That can lead you into hot water, into trouble. And also, don't stop fights, and also don't start fights, guys. Try to avoid that. You see a drunk guest, coming at you, cusses at you, whatnot. We deal with drunk guests all the time. You just got to know how to deal with these type of people. Be nice, joke around, laugh, turn around, and start doing your job. Now, the only time I would do anything is if if I need to defend myself. That's different. If a guest comes in your face and starts pushing you or is about to punch you, of course you defend yourself. Of course you fight back. I'm not saying that. It's probably the only reason why you should be in a fight is either to defend yourself, or if somebody picks up your gear and just smashes it on the floor, prevent that from happening. I suggest you protect your gear and yourself at all times, but always watch out for cowards with weapons. So watch out for that. And that's very important, guys. This might lead you into some legal battles that you just don't need right now. You just want to go there, you want to shoot the wedding, you want to get paid and get out. You always want to avoid being blamed for something at someone's wedding, as a photographer. And it's very easy to blame the photographer. Have you ever noticed where if a videographer screws up, let's say the videographer wants a really nice exotic shot of the dress, hangs the dress up on the chandelier is dirty and all this dust gets on the dress, or the chandelier breaks, falls, the dress falls down. Have you noticed that the bride looks at you, the photographer, and starts giving you dirty looks? It's never the videographer's fault. It's always the photographer's fault, because they look at you to be the leader. And if things happen on your watch, then it's your fault. So avoid them at all costs, guys. And here's a bonus tip. I know this video was 10 tips, but bonus tip number 11, okay? If you're a musician, and I know a lot of photographers that are musicians, and I've been guilty of this real quick. So let me tell you a story. Like, I was at a wedding and the band was amazing, okay? And I was just like, wow, this band is awesome, And during dinner, I got close with the drummer, and he's like, dude, come out, come play a few songs, So while I'm shooting an important part of the wedding, he stands up, stops playing the drums, comes over to me and tracks me over to the drum kit. And me, loving the drums, I couldn't refuse. So I sat down, I played a few songs, but in the meantime, I missed some shots, and the bride was giving me dirty looks and saying, hey, what are you doing? She's not a musician. She doesn't understand that you're actually jamming and doing a good job. The crowd loved it. Hey, look, the photographer's playing drums. I had a videographer friend of mine. He was a bass player. And every time I'd see him at a gig, he's one hand on the tripod, but his mind and eyes were on the stage. He was doing this. His love was for music, but he was like this, and he wasn't really watching what he was doing. And he was, if he sees an awesome bass player, he would be drooling and just taking video, not doing a good job. So here's for all you creatives out there that do other things than photography, but do weddings. Watch out for that, guys. Got me into trouble too. I'm guilty of that. And yeah. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. Leave me a comment down below if you're guilty of any of these things, and if what you think of my list. 10 things to avoid as a wedding photographer that might get you into trouble, into hot water. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next video. This is Vahagraphy. I'm Vahagan, your rock and roll photographer. Be good out there, be safe. More videos on the way. Rock and roll.